I struggled with school anxiety for over 8 years of my life, but in this video I will give you a complete step-by-step framework that you can implement today to finally break free, enjoy life again, write better grades, make friends, and stop being so anxious. And this is literally like the complete framework that I went through, and I'm going to cover everything from morning anxiety to riding the bus to school, to participating in class, writing better grades, making friends, speaking with teachers, studying for exams, procrastination, overthinking, everything that you're struggling with in this video. I listed out every single problem that I had for years of my life. Waking up in the morning, feeling anxious, going to school, feeling anxious, not participating in class, writing bad grades, having so much pressure on me, and I turned all of these things into solutions. And I literally thought about this video for 2 to 3 weeks. And I could literally sell this for over 500 euros, but I'm giving it away to you for free because I know your pain and I wish I had something like this when I was struggling just like you. And before we dive into it, I want to tell you that you can be extremely proud of yourself for trying to change, because we as students are like the future. Like, this generation is determining the success of the next few hundred years. And I know that it's very hard for you. You have so much pressure on you. Your parents are expecting you to write good grades. You have to go to school and you're struggling with mental health and you can't manage your studies. You're completely overwhelmed, and then you get homework. You can't go after your hobbies. The people that you spend your time with are maybe bullies, or they don't want the best for you, and you don't really know how to make friends, and you're quite lonely and insecure, and you see everyone else having like fun on the weekends and getting invited to parties, but you're not, and everyone is getting a girlfriend and you're still lonely. And I totally understand the pain, because I was in that situation for years of my life, and I managed to change, and I'm not any different to you. I'm just a fellow student, and I want to tell you exactly what I did to change my life completely, destroy my anxiety, and basically write way better grades at school, destroy my anxiety, make friends, get a girlfriend. I'm going to cover everything. And I want you to close your eyes right now and really like imagine in autistic detail, like everything that you can pick up with your 5 senses, how your life will change after this video. Just imagine yourself like going to school, feeling confident, talking to a couple of friends, like giving your friend a handshake, speaking to them, having like very deep and nice flowing conversations. And when you wake up in the morning, you don't experience anxiety, you feel like kind of fulfilled and purposeful, and you have a reason to live, actually. And then at class, you're like raising your finger, you're constantly participating, the teachers are seeing the changes that you've gone through, and your parents are actually proud of you. Like, you're writing an exam, you're kind of stressed out, but you study very hard and you manage to write a very good grade, and then you go home to your parents and you give them the exam, and they look at it and it's like an amazing grade, like an A. And you just feel so proud of yourself, your parents are proud of you, and that's what's possible with this video. So let's start with the morning. I experienced morning anxiety like years of my life. Like, I'm constantly repeating this, but when I wake up, I basically experience a panic attack. I feel stressed, like I instantly jump out of bed, but at the same time I have so much energy inside of me. But on the other hand, I kind of feel like I don't want to get out of bed. Like, I just like overthinking about school, and I don't really want to go, and then like I take a cold shower and I'm like walking around. I don't really know what to do. My thoughts are just racing. I'm thinking about like a coming up exam and what other people are going to think of me. I look in the mirror for like 10 minutes before I head outside, and it was just a bunch of stress. So I completely changed my morning routine, because good lives are made out of good mornings, right? Like, a good life is made out of good moms, or like good years, and the good years made out of good moms, and the good moms are made out of good days. And you start your day with the morning. So the morning is like the most important thing that you have. So I really like try to maximize my morning routine, optimize to destroy my anxiety and perform well at school. So the first thing that I want you to do is to just accept your anxiety and accept your feelings for what they are. And stop putting so much importance onto it. Stop trying to fight it, just like let go. Because you can kind of imagine it like you're in a tug of war battle against a big monster. And this big monster's anxiety, and you're on the other side. The big monster is stronger than you, and you're constantly pulling. You're constantly using your energy, and after some time you get tired and the monster gets bigger. You're just feeding into your anxiety by fighting it and constantly thinking about it and constantly trying to fight it instead of accepting it. But once you let go of the rope, once you stop the tug of war battle with your anxiety, with the big monster, your hands are freed, and you can basically do whatever you want. And you can live like an amazing life while still feeling anxious. Like, I'm living proof. But of course you want to reduce your anxiety and run away from pain and increase your pleasure, which I totally understand. So, like I said, in the morning when I wake up, I experience a bunch of anxiety and overthinking. And the first thing that I do is just to get aware of my thoughts, and I try to break the overthinking chain as soon as possible. Like, you probably know what I'm talking about, right? You wake up in the morning and you're instantly bombarded, like an information overload, even though you consume no information. Your mind is just racing, thinking about coming up exams, thinking about school, about your parents, about whatever. And as soon as you experience that, you just need to try to be a bit more mindful and try to become aware of those thoughts, and then just try to break the chain as easy as possible. Otherwise, you will go down into like this overthinking downward spiral, like this vicious cycle, and you're basically just using energy and getting nowhere. So just like try to be mindful. And an amazing way to do that in the morning is just literally after waking up, instantly head to the bathroom and take a cold shower. Now I know what you're thinking, cold showers are painful, but that's exactly the point. Because when you're taking a cold shower, you're getting put into the survival mode basically. So your mind is not overthinking because you're experiencing pain, you're experiencing an unpleasant experience. And that is forcing your mind to go into survival mode, which means staying in the present moment. So you instantly like basically distract yourself by taking a cold shower. On top of that, cold shower reduces cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So when you have a lot of anxiety, you have a lot of cortisol, and reducing cold showers, taking cold showers is reducing your cortisol. And on top of that, it's boosting motivation, it's waking you up in the morning, and it's giving you like a nice, fresh head start. And now the next thing that I do is taking a magnesium supplement. I have like a magnesium pill that I put inside of the water and I drink it. Why am I doing that? Well, when you're anxious, your body is constantly using energy. Like you notice you're constantly overthinking, your mind is constantly running, you're constantly under tension, and the blood is getting pumped into your muscles. And your body has to use energy. And when you're anxious, you're using a lot of energy, right? You have like the fight, flight, freeze response. So you either fight it, or you run away, or you freeze and you're unable to do anything. So your body's using like energy, it's using minerals, it's using the food that you're eating, and a very nice way to make up with that, because you probably have like a magnesium deficit, is to just take magnesium supplements. Now you can buy them at literally every like drugstore or at local food stores, and they just cost like $2 to $3 a month. And that was a game changer for me, because then you're taking in magnesium and you're taking in these supplements, which are just like balancing all the hormones inside of your body, making everything run a bit smoother, and it's just like a very nice fuel. And now the next thing that I do is gratitude journaling, because when you're caught up in your head and you're so anxious in the morning, you have a lot of negative thoughts usually, right? Like you're thinking about failing that exam, about the pressure that you have on you on riding the bus to school, but you kind of don't want to do it. Just write down 3 things that you feel happy for, 3 things that you feel grateful for, and that can be as easy as like that you woke up today, or that you experience that you're watching this video, or that you took a cold shower, or that you took the magnesium supplements, or being grateful for the phone that you're watching this on, or maybe the PC that you have, like something that you can be grateful for. And that will shift your attention from the negative things to a couple of positive things, and you will realize that you are suffering more in imagination than in reality. Because when you're anxious, you're always in your head. You're either dwelling on the past or overthinking the future, imagining the worst scenarios. And just by simply writing down on pen and paper or on your phone what you're grateful for is shifting the attention away from these negative things and towards something positive. And every single day, like I've been doing that for 3 years of my life, and every single day after I do it, I feel a bit more happier. Like it's not like that instantly my anxiety is going away, but I feel a bit more present, and I feel a bit more mindful and a bit more happy, because I realize, okay, it's not as bad as I think, it's just in my mind. And now, when you wake up in the morning, you also have to groom yourself, right? Like when you take a cold shower, you put on your clothes, or maybe you groom yourself, you make your hair, or you shave or something like that. And it's very important that you do that, but don't get caught up in just looking at the image in the mirror and judging yourself, right? That's like, I know that you want to look good, you want to make like friends, and you want to be attractive to girls. Of course, groom yourself, right? It's very important, so you can like raise your confidence and stuff like that. But while doing so, try to not judge. Just accept what you're seeing in the mirror and try to look at the positive things. Maybe you have nice hair, maybe you have nice eyes, maybe you have a nice jawline, or whatever it might be. Just try to pick out some negative, positive things, because the negative things will always stand out. And when you feed into that, they could become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like imagine you have like this small pimple on your face, but you're just thinking about it constantly. Then in your mind it gets bigger and more serious than it is, and you think that everyone else is picking it up. But that's not the case, which we'll cover later. Now the next thing is, it's very important that you don't eat anything that has sugar or carbs in the morning, because then you experience something which is called like a carb crash, or like a sugar crash. And when you eat those things, the blood level, the sugar blood level inside of your body is spiking, and that can increase your anxiety. So what I prefer to do is to not eat anything until like noon. I basically only eat 1 meal a day. I know this is extreme, it's called fasting, intermittent fasting. You can try it out as well, it's really helping me with my anxiety. It's actually 15 o'clock right now and I haven't eaten anything, but if you're used to eating in the morning and your body's used to it, then you can just try to eat a bit healthier. Now, I know this is like general advice, but your diet is having a very crucial importance on your anxiety. Like, literally just don't try to eat any carbs. So don't eat like bread or don't eat anything with sugar, right? Don't eat like chocolate bars or Nutella toast, or a thing that I used to drink in the morning was chocolate milk. Don't do that. It's spiking the blood sugar levels inside of your body, which is increasing your anxiety. And of course, on the top of that, it's also giving you brain fog. So basically, you can't really think and your mind is a little bit foggy. You can't concentrate, which is not a thing that you want if you want to perform well at school and also reduce your anxiety. Now, the next thing is to not consume, if you're drinking coffee, don't consume any caffeine 1.5 hours after waking up. Because the first 1.5 hours when you wake up in the morning, your body can't pick up the caffeine. The receptors inside of your body are not awake yet. They're not ready yet to pick up the caffeine. So when you drink caffeine in the morning, especially instantly after waking up and not waiting for 1.5 hours, you basically will have something like a crash during the day where you get really, really, really tired. And you don't want that. You want to be energized. You want to be less anxious. And on top of that, caffeine also increasing your anxiety because it's producing symptoms that are similar to anxiety. When you drink a caffeine, you are more alert, your heart rate can increase, and you're just aware of things in your surrounding, which is a similar symptom to anxiety, and that can actually increase your anxiety because your mind can't really tell the difference. So be very aware of your caffeine consumption, especially in the morning and also during the day if you're struggling with anxiety. And now the next obvious thing is, of course, waking up and going to bed at the same time every single day because you have an inner body clock. And your body is basically producing hormones at different times of the day. In the evening, it's producing melatonin, which is like the sleep hormone. And in the morning, it's producing cortisol, serotonin, which are like the stress hormones, but also the motivational and feel-good hormones. And you want to have like a strict routine of when you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. And of course, have 8 hours of sleep, so the inner body clock is always sharp, always producing the right hormones at the right time, and that will really help you with your anxiety. Now, the next thing on the list is riding the bus or going to school. Now, after I battled all of my fears and anxieties and worries and I actually managed to dress and get up, I always went downstairs. I ate like food like chocolate, I drank chocolate milk and also ate a toast with Nutella, and then I knew that I have to go to school, and then my anxiety spiked once again. Like, I always hated driving the bus because I used to get bullied on the bus. Like, I got pushed around, people stole my seat, people made fun of me and threw like paper at me, and I just hated it, right? So I try to avoid riding the bus at all costs. And if you experience like anxiety in public transport, then I really advise you to just try to avoid it. Just try to ride by bike to school, which is what I'm doing, like, or just walk to school. And if you can't avoid it, which I get, a lot of people can't avoid the bus, try to be as early as possible at the bus station so you don't avoid it. And also, like, a lot of people say that you should distract yourself and listen to music, but that's not a thing that I agree with, because if you're pumping your brain with music in the morning, you're basically creating like a lot of distractions for yourself and a lot of noise. Like, when you're listening to very loud music, you have like a lot of noise, and that's not like a pleasurable experience, especially when you're struggling with anxiety. And when you're anxious, you're constantly looking at the surroundings and trying to analyze it and pick everything up, and just accept that and let that be. Don't try to distract yourself. Just look outside of the window, try to, like, analyze the environment or whatever, look at other people and realize that 90% of the time people are thinking about themselves. You are thinking about yourself 90% of the time, which is a normal thing. You're selfish because you want to survive and you want to improve yourself, right? You have like an ego, and everyone else is just the same. They think about themselves 90% of the time. They don't even look at you. They don't even like care about you. You don't care about the other people that you see inside of the bus, do you? You don't care about a random stranger that you see. You don't even pick up on the face. You forget the face within a couple of hours. And when you live in a big city, you see so many faces anyway that you can't remember, and everyone else is the same. So no one is like really paying attention to you. this might sound harsh, but no one really cares about you. So don't think about like, oh, what other people are going to think of me when I'm riding the public transport or going to school by bus. No one gives a shit. No one cares. And another thing that I want you to do is to shift your attention from outwards. And another thing that I want you to do is to shift your attention from inwards to outwards. So when you're anxious, you're constantly stuck in your head and you're basically inwards. You're thinking about yourself, you're thinking about what other people are thinking of you, you think about your mistakes or your future or your past, but you're never here in the present moment. So just try to shift your attention outwards. So look at the environment, try to be present, try to pay attention to your breath. And if that's not helping, you can also go with a friend. Like a friend will probably assist you. Like he will help you, you can speak to him, you're not alone, and you can sit right next to him on the seat, so no strangers like sitting right next to you. Now the next thing we're going to cover is the arrival at school and walking to school and into the classroom and basically starting the school day. Because after I overcame a morning anxiety and after I overcame the anxiety of riding the bus, I was quite happy that I could step outside of the bus and I'm like looking around, but I know that I have to face the next challenge, which is walking inside of the school. And I was so anxious of walking inside of the school, and I don't know why. Like, I'm just stepping outside of the bus, and I'm just looking around, and I'm observing everyone. Like, everyone is rushing into school, and I'm just like, I feel out of place. There's like a big crowd of people waiting outside, and I have to walk through them, and I'm just looking at them and observing them, and like really overthinking, like what they're going to think of me in my outfit. And then the next challenge was stepping inside of the classroom, because I was usually quite late because of my bus, and then when I stepped inside of the classroom, everyone else was looking at me. I was just like, it was a bunch of stress, like I was just overthinking, I had so much pain, and I kind of felt like I just wanted to escape, and someone was like putting a knife into my heart. Now, if you can relate to that, here are a couple of tips that I did to finally break free of having the anxiety to arrive at school and walking inside of the classroom and the school environment as a whole. Now, the best thing that I did was just transferring school, because I used to get bullied at my old school, so I went to a different school, and I know that it's not accessible or possible for everyone, so I just advise you to try to be as early as possible. Just take a bus that is like 30 minutes earlier than usual. Now you might think, well, then I'm wasting time at school and blah 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 blah. Relax. You can educate yourself, you can listen to some books, you can do your homework or whatever. And when you arrive very early, it means that no one else is around. That is so simple. Like, you're scared of walking like into the classroom when there's sitting a lot of students, and you're scared of walking through a crowd. Just try to be as early as possible. Try to be the first person there, and no one else is around. You don't have to walk through the crowd. You don't have to look at your classmates and think about them when you're stepping inside of the classroom. Just sit there, do your homework, do some research, whatever. That is like a very easy fix. Just try to be as early as possible. And now another thing that you can do is to try to go with a classmate or a friend. Because again, they will help you, they will assist you, you can speak with them, you pay less attention to your surroundings and to the other people, and you focus more on the conversation. And I will also advise you to face your fears. Because like I said, I was very scared of the school environment, and I want to tell you a story. I was once on the schoolyard eating a banana. And that's like a normal thing, right? I'm just eating my breakfast, and I'm eating a banana on the schoolyard. But I was just like observing, and I was alone like in a corner, and all of the other people were like playing and having fun, and I finished my banana, and then I was like, okay, I don't see any bin around me. Like, there's no bin around me, but I have to throw the banana inside of a bin, right? I can't just leave it on the ground. And then I was overthinking, and then something clicked in my mind. It was just like, fuck it. I was going to walk across the schoolyard and throw the banana inside of a bin. And as I was walking back, I realized that no one paid attention to me. No one cared about me throwing a banana inside of a bin. And now this again shows that you have to face your fears, because when you're anxious, you're suffering more in imagination than in reality. You have all of these negative stories and things and imaginations that could happen, but it's never going to happen in real life. So it's just a simple act of stepping outside of your comfort zone and facing your fears, to realize and to show your mind that your mind is stupid and that reality is different. Now you can do that with basically anything. If you're scared of going to the toilet inside of school, just don't try to overthink it, just act, right? Acting is like a very good way to cure your anxiety. And just face your fears and realize that it's not as bad as it seems. And as soon as you get over like this threshold of like anxiety, because like the anxiety is building up and you're about to do like something that you don't want to do, after that you will realize that it's not as bad and your anxiety will go down. Because It's not that bad, nothing happened. No one cared about me throwing a banana inside of a bin. It was just all in my head. Now, the next thing we're going to cover is social anxiety and making friends, because now you managed to get up in the morning, reduce your anxiety with everything that I've told you. You managed to ride the bus or avoid the bus, and you managed to step inside of the classroom and basically thrive in the school environment. But the next step now is to talk to classmates, make friends, and participate in class. So that's what we're going to cover. And you can be proud of yourself if you actually implement everything that I'm talking about today, tomorrow, or the next day, because then you're already ahead of many people that are struggling with anxiety, because you are actually taking action and taking what I'm saying seriously, which is amazing. Now, I was always a lonely weird kid, and no one really ever invited me to any parties. Like, I just saw all of like my classmates making plans for the weekend, like going to parties or going to the beach or surfing, or, you know, like having a fun time going to the city, and I never got invited. Never. And that felt like very bad. I felt quite lonely. I was always alone in my room just playing video games, jerking off, watching porn, and then I never got invited, and I never developed my social skills. So I had to overcome all of these struggles by not developing my social skills, and I felt like everyone was ahead of me. Everyone knew how to talk to other people. I was this anxious, lonely, weird-looking kid inside of the corner that no one wanted to speak to, and I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to make friends. I wanted to have fun, and then I had to learn how to build social skills, and I read a couple of books, and of course, recording videos for over 1.5 years straight also helped me with talking and confidence and stuff like that. Now, you have to understand that human connection is based on value exchange. So what do you have to offer to someone else? No one is going to speak with you if you're just sucking away their energy, right? Like, imagine there are two people and they have like advice to share or a story to share or something interesting. It's based on value exchange. And if you have nothing to give, like, you're just a boring person, or you have nothing to say, or you can't express your stories or feelings, then no one is going to really speak to you because you're not interesting. And especially at school, it's more about like the social hierarchy. Like, the kids at the top that like in the sports team, they get a lot of attention. Why? Because they seem confident, outgoing, and they have a lot of experiences and stories to tell, and they had a lot going on in their life. Right? You probably have some classmates that are like doing sports and doing this and dating girls and stuff like that. They are interesting. And if you don't have many friends, it's probably because you either are not interesting or you completely lack social skills. So you have to do something with your life first before you actually start to speak to other people. You need to tell stories, or at least have like some mutual interests. So an amazing thing that you can do is to just look at what other people are speaking about and try to join the conversation. When they're speaking about sports, you probably have done like some kind of sports in your life. Just tell a quick story, or like say, oh yeah, I like this sport as well. Or a lot of people in my school are talking about video games. Then you just say, yeah, I played the video game as well, but like, don't lie. Like, try to actually tell a story, and now, like, don't overthink it. You need to start very small. You can literally start by just trying to look them into the eyes, trying to give them a handshake, trying to give them a compliment. Now, giving compliments is very important because, like I said, everything is based on value exchange, and other people want to feel validated. You want to feel good. You want to feel validated. You want to feel like you have a lot of status. That's why you're watching this video right now, because you want to improve yourself to eventually make friends, write better grades, speak to girls, and stuff like that. So everything is based on status. Everything is based on feeling good. And you need to basically make other people feel good, because then they want to stick around you. If you're just sucking away their energy and you're always being negative and you're being a negative person and you're boring, no one's going to talk to you because you're sucking away energy. But on the opposite side, if you're like a friendly human being, right? You just like, you try to smile a bit more, you try to hold eye contact, you try to be respectful, and you try to give compliments, they will like you more and they will give that back to you. If you're giving someone else a compliment, they will feel validated. They will feel exactly how they want to feel. And then you're basically making them your friend by doing that, or at least they like you more. Like, think about it. If someone is giving you a genuine compliment, you don't hate them after that. You like them a bit more. And now, of course, don't overdo it, and don't like try to have like a genuine compliment. Don't fake the compliment. But it's like an amazing way to build amazing relationships. And when you're walking up to someone, just like give them a handshake, give them a compliment, and mention their name. People love to hear their name, so mention their name. You probably know the names of your classmates, so just mention it, right? It's not a big deal. And then you basically just want to get into like a quick conversation. You just have like a small talk, like, hey man, what did you do on the weekend? Blah, 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 blah. And you talk for a bit. Now, where the real magic happens, where you actually bond and connect to other people and make friends, is when you have deep conversations. And that is not asking them how they are or what they did on the weekend. It's asking deep questions, and I'm going to give you a framework that you can do, right? If you want to get into deep connections and make friends and actually build a real connection, you will start with a close question and then continue to ask why. And you just repeat that, that's it. Like, you just ask a close question. You don't have an open-ended question. Like, if you're speaking to your classmates, you can say, hey man, did you study for that exam yesterday? That is a closed question. They can say like, yes, no. And then they will say, yeah, I did study, and I don't know, I kind of failed, and I feel a bit bad about myself. And then you just ask them, why? Like, why do you think you failed? Why do you feel bad about yourself? And then they will reveal more about them. And that is what you want. On the other side, like, let's say they say yes. Yeah, I studied very hard for that exam, and I have a good feeling, and I think I will pass. And then you just say, like, yeah, like, why do you feel good? Like, why did you study so hard? Like, why did you want to pass this exam? And then they say, yeah, because I got this job and I really need this degree and blah, 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 blah. And then you find these connections. And then you can add your own interest to that. Then they say, yeah, you know, like, I really want to get into that job and blah, 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 blah. And then you just ask a closed question again and you ask why again. Then they say, yeah, I want to be like an engineer. And then you say like, oh yeah, nice, that's amazing. Like, why do you want to be an engineer? Close question and the why. And they reveal more and more and more about them. And that is showing that you actually care about them. And you can skip small talk instantly with that strategy. And a deep talk, like a deep conversation, is basically just about like values and morals, like everything that is making a person. Like, you have certain values, you have certain habits, certain beliefs, and deep conversations is just about exchanging them. And when someone is exchanging their beliefs and goals and whatever, like some deep personal stuff, you can come in and connect to them and say, oh yeah, like, I can really relate to this, and I thought about that too, or like, you know, I also want to be an engineer. Like, don't lie, but try to seem genuinely interested. It is not that hard to make friends because everyone is lonely these days. Like, you're probably lonely, and other people feel lonely as well. Even people with a lot of friends, like the sports guy inside of your school, is probably feeling a bit lonely because they just have like shallow friendships. They're just speaking to people and having like small talk conversations, like, hey, how are you? What did you do on the weekend? And then they ask like, hey, do you have a party on the weekend? And they kind of know that they're just abusing them for drugs or alcohol or attention or fame or whatever. But when you come in and you change it to deep conversations, people build a real connection, and that is what you want. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the problem of not actively participating in class, because you have to participate in class to write and make good grades, right? Like in Germany with the oral grades, so speaking, and with the exam grades, so writing. And it's 50-50. So 50% is the exam and 50% is speaking. So it's very important here in Germany, probably in your school, your country as well, that you are speaking. And a lot of people struggle with that, and I used to struggle with that as well. I always got bad grades like D's and E's in oral participation, like raising my finger. I never did that because I was so scared of the judgment of other people. And what if I make a mistake? What if the teacher laughs at me or other students laugh at me? What if I completely fail and I stutter and I mess up and I don't know how to articulate my thoughts and all of these overthinking things? Like, first of all, do what I said earlier. Just shift your attention outwards, not inwards, and try to break the chain as easy as possible, and just accept that you have these thoughts. It's completely fine, it's normal, right? Don't try to fight it, and then just start very small, right? It's better to start small and then improve over the long run than to start like at level 10 and then quit, okay? So you can literally just start by raising your finger one time a day, and then you just increase that over like 2 weeks to 1 time a lesson. And then you increase it to 2 times a lesson and 3 times a lesson. And then you can stop it like 3 to 5 times a lesson, depending on how comfortable you feel. And if you want to take this a step farther, you can also raise your finger like 10, 15, 20 times each session, each lecture, each lesson. And then you will get better grades. So your parents will feel proud of you. You will start to build some confidence, and the other kids and classmates are going to start to pick up on you performing better. So they will see you with more respect. They will see that you are changing, and that is amazing. Now, you just have to get used to it, right? Like, it's basically a habit. You have to build a habit, and you get used to something after like doing it consistently for 2 weeks. So you just have to get over the hurdle of doing it for 2 weeks and getting used to it. And after that time, it will feel quite natural to you. And then you can raise your finger, and it's not like this big thing that you have to overcome, right? It's the same thing with facing your fears. Like, you're suffering more in imagination than in reality. After you push through, the anxiety will mostly go away. And then you can start to participate more in class and write better grades. Now, another thing that you can do is to use AI like ChatGPT or something like that and just copy paste the question or copy paste the worksheet into the AI to make sure that you have the right answers. Because if you're anxious, you're probably very scared of saying the wrong thing or fucking up, honestly. So just copy paste that into like an AI and just simply read what the AI says, then raise your finger and give the teacher the answer. That way you're making sure that you don't make a mistake. But I will do say that you don't learn as much. But if you want to get started, just do that. It's a very good strategy to get used to speaking like in front of the class, raising your finger, and you're actually performing better because you always or mostly have the right answers. And then the teacher's like, oh, this guy knows something. I never heard him talk before. Like, he's actually participating. I will give him a better grade. And that's exactly what you want. And another thing that would really help with that is just building confidence. And I know you've heard this before, but building confidence is crucial if you want to improve your social skills in your life overall. But the thing that many people don't understand about confidence is that it has to be built. You're building confidence. So just like really ask yourself, okay, what do you have to do to deserve to feel confident? Now, a thing that I had to do to deserve to feel confident was being disciplined, going to the gym, being consistent, and becoming an entrepreneur. Like, I now completely changed my identity from this old, lonely, stinky gamer, loser, to I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a gym rat. I deserve to feel confident because I was kickboxing for 1.5 years and I got punched in the face and knocked out and I knocked someone else out. I actually didn't knock someone else out, but that would be nice. Or, like, I've been recording videos for every single day for over 1.5 years. Like, that is proof. If you can find proof that you deserve to be confident and you constantly look at that, you will be more confident. You don't become confident out of nowhere. A baby doesn't get born with confidence. And you're very young. That means you have like no wins under your belt. But you can get ahead. Right? Just doing the good habits. It sounds easier than it is. I know you've heard this before. But literally just ask yourself, what can you do to make yourself feel deserve the confidence? You have to deserve the confidence. You have to earn it. And you probably have some thoughts in your head right now, like maybe going kickboxing, maybe going to the gym, maybe building muscle, maybe like doing some kind of sports or starting a business or making money or getting a girlfriend. That is the indicator. Do it. And you will build confidence, which will tie into everything that we spoke about before. Now, the next thing is being scared of like the teacher interactions, because if you start to raise your finger, you will start to talk to the teacher, obviously. And I was scared of teachers for a very long amount of time. Like, I still remember, like, this actually happened recently. I got handed back an exam and the teacher's walking up to me and he's looking at me like quite weird. I was like, okay, fuck, I failed the exam. And I felt a huge amount of pain. And then he's coming up to me, giving me the paper and just telling me that I could have done better. He expected like better results from me. And in that moment, I felt a huge amount of shame because all of the classmates heard it. And I felt a huge amount of anxiety and kind of like I let myself down. And then I realized that teachers are literally just like other human beings. Like, of course, they are an authority figure and we put authority figures higher in the social hierarchy. Like, you think a teacher is more valuable than you or has more rights to do something than you. It's the same thing with like doctors and politicians and stuff like that. You place them like on a, what is it called? You place them on a pedestal. But you have to realize that they're just normal human beings. They don't really care about you as an individual. Like, you probably have some teachers that are like assholes and they're like completely fucked, right? They don't really care about you. If they're being like hateful towards you, or if they're insulting you, or if they're like disappointed in you, it's probably because they have their own shit in their own life and they're just reflecting their feelings and insecurities onto you. So don't try to take it personally and realize that how many people inside of your class? Probably like 20 to 30 people. And each teacher has like 5 different classes, I would say. So in total, the teacher has like 150, 200 students. You think he's going to remember you and he's going to think about you in his free time? No. He has his own kids, his own life, his own job, his own worries, his own struggles. He doesn't really care about you. He doesn't. And he doesn't care if you fail an exam. He doesn't care if he's speaking to you and you're a bit shy or anxious or you don't really know how to speak. It's completely fine. They don't really care. They have their own life. So let go of this like, oh my god, as an authority figure, I have to perform well, like, It doesn't matter. It's just another human being. He's thinking about himself 90% of the time. He has his own life, and he has like 150, 200 students that he has to take care of. He's not only thinking about you. Now, the next thing is studying for exams, because exams probably take a lot of time out of your day to study for them, and also a lot of mental energy, because you're constantly thinking about exams and if you will pass or if you will fail. And I had like exam anxiety, and I didn't really know how to study for exams for a very long amount of time. And I still remember like this one time I was studying for a maths exam, and I was studying like 3 weeks before the exam. Like I started very early, and I was studying 2-3 hours a day, and I kind of felt proud of myself. I kind of felt like, yeah, I'm going to write a good grade. And then, you know, the day finally comes. I'm writing the exam, and a couple days later I get the exam back, and I wrote a very bad grade. And I was super disappointed in myself, and I was like, okay, what went wrong? I studied for so long, but why did I write a bad grade? And then my parents are disappointed in me, and I'm disappointed in myself, because I actually studied. I actually took accountability, I actually worked for it, but I fucked up in the end. So I was making a couple of mistakes, so I'm going to first tell you how not to study, and then I'm going to tell you how to study. So how not to study? Just rereading. Don't just reread the paper. Don't just reread the material that you covered at school. You have to actively engage your brain with the things that you're learning. If you're just rereading, you're just like repeating words in your mind. You're not doing anything else. The next thing is like too much highlighting. Just like stop highlighting so much. Make it easy. Make it... Don't make it complicated for you to study. You're making it harder for yourself than it actually is. Right? The next thing is bad notes. Just like picking out the wrong stuff, completely like forgetting the main topic of the exam, and just writing down bad notes and then studying them over and over again, completely missing the main topic. And useless extra work. Like you're probably doing a lot of useless extra work for yourself by studying things that don't come up in the exam, by stressing about it, by being anxious about it, by overthinking and all of that stuff, which we will cover later. So how do you actually study for exams? First, I have 3 questions that I always run my brain through and that I write down before starting to study for an exam. The first question is, what are all the different topics you need to cover? Just think about the general topic. How confident do you feel about each one? So when you're writing an exam, you probably have like this one main topic and then have subcategories, and you just rank them from like 1 to 10, how confident you feel about them. You probably have like a topic, let's say biology, that you feel quite confident about. And then there's like a subcategory that you don't really feel confident about. Now you know what to study. Like study your weaknesses, don't study your strengths. And where do you need to focus more of your time and effort? Right? It's probably the thing that you're lacking, and you just double down on that. Now, another thing that I want to tell you is to use the 80-20 rule. So again, you have like a main topic inside of an exam, and just ask yourself, what is the 20% that I can study that will make up 80% of the exam? If you're writing an exam in biology and it's about natural selection, study natural selection. Don't study something outside of the topic that you covered in school for 1 day. Just like focus on the big chunk and really study that, and really try to nail it. Now, there are a couple of strategies that you can use to study better, because when you're anxious, you probably have like a lot of overthinking and negative thoughts and active recall. It's basically just like explaining the topic in your own words, because again, you don't just want to revise and read the things and just study them. You want to actively engage your brain, and you can do that very well by just writing out and explaining a topic in your own words. And when you do that, you will see, okay, I'm missing this, I don't really know how to explain this, and then you double down on that and study that more. And when you can really explain it in your own words, like you would explain it to a 5-year-old, you understand the core concept of it, which is what you want. And now there's also a thing called the forgetting curve. So you constantly want to re-study the same thing over and over again. And my advice is that you start like 2 to 3 weeks before the exam, and you really like ask yourself these 3 questions, you find out what you're lacking, and then you start to study. And you don't just reread, you actively like engage, and you write down everything that's important. You structure it in a very simple and easy way. You don't do any extra work. You don't overwhelm yourself, and you just pick out what you have to revise, right? Prioritize it, and then try to explain it in your own words to really understand it, like the concept. And I'm not going to give you like a specific technique that you have to use or anything, because you have to find your own learning style, and you have to find out what works for you, and we will cover that in the next steps as well. Now, the thing is that your brain will forget stuff over time, right? Like you probably don't remember what you ate 30 days ago, but you remember what you ate yesterday. So you constantly want to just remind yourself and restudy the same things, so you don't have this forgetting curve. right? So if you study something 2 weeks ago, you want to study it in like an interval, so every like 4 to 5 days. So you study it like 2 weeks ago, then you study it 1 week ago, then you study it today, and next week you have the exam coming up, and then you study it again in like 5 days, and then when you have the exam coming up, it's in your long-term memory, not your short-term memory. And really try to avoid cramming, avoid all of these like stupid mistakes that a lot of students do, like studying 1 hour before the exam, 1 day before the exam. It's not going to work because it's not in your long-term memory, and you can't put that much information in your brain that fast. Now, what do you do if you're anxious during the exam? Because I studied for an exam, and then I wrote the exam, and during the exam I was completely lost. I blacked out, was overthinking, I felt anxious, I didn't really know what to do, and then I wrote a bad grade and I was disappointed in myself. So first of all, I want to tell you that studying, like using everything that I just told you, does 80% of the job. If you really put it into your long-term memory and you study your weaknesses and you actively engage your brain, you did 80% of the work. Because then you're feeling confident that you can actually write a good exam. Because you know the information in your brain, right? So I also developed a specific framework that I run myself through before writing an exam. The first thing is that I take a deep breath. Now this might sound like stupid or it doesn't make any sense, but just take a deep breath. Just relax yourself. Okay? Just really let go of any fear, of any struggles of not passing the exam. Just relax, take a deep breath, and also detach your self-worth from the grades. Like a lot of people, they think that if they write a good grade, they're worthy of love, or that they're a good student, or that they're smart. And when they write a bad grade, they think that they're not worthy of love, or that they're a bad student, or that they're stupid. And now that's not your fault, because you have been in this system for like 5, 10, 15 years maybe. And at the start, like when you're a little kid, it's getting put into your mind that if you're a good grade, if you write a good grade, you're a good student. Then your parents are proud of you, your teachers are proud of you, and you maybe even receive some gifts. So it's constantly like getting put into your mind this belief of, if I write good grades, I'm good. If I write bad grades, I'm bad. But that is not true. It's just a number on a paper. It's not as serious as you think. It's not going to really, really like destroy your life. Are you going to die if you write a bad grade? No. So detach your self-worth from your grades and realize that if you write a bad grade, you're still a good human being. Now, the second thing is that you really want to manage your time during the exam, right? So the first thing that I do is I look at the exam and I look at every single question. And I just read it and try to understand it. And then if I have any questions, I ask the teacher. If not, I just start with the first one. Now, if I get stuck at a single number, like at a single task, I just skip the task and return to it later and do the easier task first. Because it's stupid if you spend like 30 minutes on like a single, let's say, number, like a single task. And in the end, if you do it correctly, it will give you like 3 points. Instead, just skip the task and do all of the things that give you the most points and the most number, and then return to the other task later. Now, if you blank out during the exam, just accept it. You can't control it. If you blank out, it's going to happen. Like blanking out is basically where you just forget everything that you've learned. Now, take accountability and responsibility for that and think about what went wrong. Could you have studied better? Didn't you take a deep breath? Did you were stressed? Like what happened? Why did you blank out? And then just accept it. Try to do as good as possible with still like the information that you have in your brain, probably not much, but just accept it. You can't change it. It is what it is. It's not going to end your life. Now, to avoid blacking out and to basically train your mind to get used to exams is to write like a fake exam in the same conditions. Now, of course, you can't sit at school with a teacher, but you can study at home. You can write like a fake exam at home and like basically turn on a timer on your phone and just basically imagine that it's a real exam. Then you train your mind with a scenario and then also visualize your success. So before I write an exam, I just close my eyes and really think about, okay, I'm going to sit there and I have this like this flow state and I have all of these ideas in my head and I'm nailing every single task, and then I imagine myself receiving the exam and writing a good grade. Like just do the simple act of visualization. I'm not going to explain like why that is important, but you basically have to engage your mind. Now let's talk about procrastination. You want to study, but you're just like waiting and waiting and waiting, and then the exam comes around and you have more anxiety, and then you want to study, but you don't end up doing it, and you're just playing social media, playing video games or watching social media, and you're wasting a bunch of time. Now, I struggled with procrastination for a long amount of time, but I found this one secret that was actually making my procrastination, or basically destroying it, making it so much better. Because the number one reason why people procrastinate is because they see the work as some kind of pain. Like you see studying as like an unpleasurable experience. Why is that? because you put a lot of importance onto it. You associate your future with it. You don't want to do it and you rather do something else. And maybe you just have the wrong studying technique. So I really want you to think about it, like the primary desire of why you're at school and why you want to study in the first place. Why do you want to write a good grade in the exam? To get a future job, to have freedom, to have status. Just really picture it and keep it very close inside of your mind at all times. So when you don't feel like studying and you want to procrastinate, just like say, if I don't study, I won't get a job. If I don't study, I won't achieve this. And then on top of that, when you try to study, do what works for you. That's why I'm not giving you like a specific study technique. Do what works for you. Do what is fun for you. Okay? Because imagine studying is fun. Then you will do it. You probably have a hobby, maybe playing video games, maybe playing sports. Why are you doing it? Because it's fun. So if you can make working, studying fun, you will do it. And it will basically become like a new hobby instead of seeing it as work because it's painful. See it as like something positive. Right? And your brain is basically wired to increase pleasure and decrease pain. So do that. Make it more fun. Do it your way. Find out what works for you. Maybe put on some music, right? Maybe have a bit of fun with like studying and, like structuring things. Do it your way. Now, the next thing that I used to struggle with was perfectionism. Like during the exam or at school, I was just like scared of fucking up, and I was also scared of the judgment of my parents if I'm not writing a good grade. I thought I have to have like all straight A's, and I thought that if I don't write all straight A's, I'm like not worthy of love. And it took me a long time to reprogram my mind, but I was reading a book and also reading a study on a very interesting thing that completely destroyed my perfectionism. There was once like a film professor, and he split his students up into two groups, and one was focused on quantity and the other group was focused on quality. And he found out that the group that was focusing on quantity had better quality. So imagine like you have to take 100 pictures, and the group that took 100 pictures did in the end better than someone who was focusing on quality, so just taking one picture and trying to make it as best as possible. So what does this tell us? Perfection is created by imperfect actions. You do 100 things imperfect, that will then improve you and make something more perfect. If you constantly think about like you have to do everything perfect and you're just trying once, the chances of you of actually making it perfect are not huge. But if you do something 100 times, if you study 100 times, let's say, you become better at the thing. Perfectionism is created by imperfect action. So it makes no sense to have any sense of like anxiety or worries or fears about not being perfect, because you become perfect by doing the imperfect action, right? So basically when you start, this is like the framework with everything. You start and you suck, right? You do more, you suck. You do a bit more, you suck a bit less. You do so much that you eventually don't suck at all. But you first have to suck, you first have to be imperfect, to be good at a thing, to be basically perfect at a thing. And perfectionism is basically unreal. Like you have so much potential. You have so much potential. And it's impossible for you to reach that potential inside of your lifetime and inside of the exams. It's impossible. You have so many things that you can learn. You have so many opportunities and ways that you can study things and do and all of that. So just like, instead of being scared of imperfectionism, try to see perfectionism as a good thing and a goal to strive for, but basically shift your attention from the negative side of perfectionism to the good side of perfectionism. Just say like, I want to be perfect. So I will do this and this and this to become more perfect. Imperfect action. So I become perfect. Now the next thing on the list is fear of failure. Another thing that I used to struggle with a long time. Like before an exam, like a day before an exam, or even the morning, like a few hours before the exam, I was just thinking about like, what if I fail? What if I fail? And it was very painful and a very negative thing. And sometimes it actually led me to feel more anxious and then write a worse exam. But why does the fear of failure even happen? It's basically just something in your mind. Because before you do a task, your mind creates like a prediction, right? Like you predict in your mind that you will write a good grade, but you doubt your capabilities of writing a good grade, and then it creates like the fear of failure, right? So it runs your brain through the environment and through your self-image, and it predicts how successful you're going to be with that goal. And if you can't achieve that goal, you feel uncertain and you have a fear of failure. So there are two ways to completely destroy your fear of failure. And the first one is just studying so hard that you know you won't fail. Like, I know there's also like a certain certainty, but you can eliminate the fear of failure if you're actually studying and you are confident in your capability to write good grades, right? So increase the certainty of that outcome that you want to have. Increase the certainty by studying of the outcome, writing good exam that you want to have. Focus more on the process. And you can also create something called a thesis, where you basically say, if I do this, then this will happen. So if I study 2 weeks before the exam, 1 hour a day, it's unreasonable for me that I won't write a good grade. And just keep that in mind. And the next thing is that fear of failure doesn't even exist, because the path to success is through failure. Like we talked about that before. Imperfect action creates perfectionism. Failing creates success. Like, failure is where you learn the most. If you're failing, if you're writing a bad grade, learn from it. Learn from it. So detach your ego, stop being a retard, and don't be scared of failing. I'm failing every single day. I failed for 1 year straight at like YouTube and recording videos. Now I'm quite better. I'm quite good. Just because of failure. You learn more by failure than by success. Now the next thing on the list is burnout. Like, have you ever studied so much that you burned out and you basically couldn't do anything anymore? Now, I want to tell you that there are 2 ways that you can do to burn out basically. The one is working too much. You study for 12 hours a day, 3 days before the exam, you burn out and you write a bad grade. And now the second one is you focus on the wrong stuff, right? My example is that I was really focused on the views on YouTube, and I was constantly working, and I was constantly looking like the end goal, and not focusing on the process. But if you can focus on the process and find love and enjoy it, which ties into the principle that I gave you before of like loving your work, then basically burnout disappears. Like, imagine you just like, you measure your success based on how many actions you do a thing. So you just measure your success on how many times you studied, how much you studied, how good you studied, how focused you were, and the exam that you get in the end. Just focus more on the process and to really try to love what you do. If you love what you do, it's like impossible for you to burn out. And the second thing is just to keep in mind that every single bit of work counts. Maybe you've heard of the compound effect. Every single bit of work is counting. So even if you just study for 10 minutes a day, if you add that up over the lifetime of 5-10 years, it's a huge difference. Now the next things on the list are distractions. Have you ever like sat down to study but you just got distracted and then you didn't study at all? Like maybe your phone rang or you got called by your mom or something else happened and you got distracted. You want to avoid distractions at all costs. And there are 2 types of distractions that you can have. First, the external distractions. External distractions are from your environment. So your phone and maybe your family or food or a cluttered environment and whatever. And the second thing are internal distractions, so thoughts, feelings, desires, everything inside of your mind. And you want to, for the next week, just create a list of everything that is distracting you when you try to study. And you will probably find out that the phone, so an external distraction from your environment, is distracting you the most. So what do? You just look at the list and you pick out the things that you wrote down the most. Maybe your phone was like 20 times. And a bad feeling was like 3 times. Then, of course, reduce and throw out the phone. Like, literally do anything that you can to eliminate the thing that is distracting you. Look at the list and eliminate it. And it's quite easy to reduce distractions. You just eliminate it from your environment. With external distractions. You just throw your phone away, you turn your phone off, you turn the notifications off, and that's it. And for internal distractions like your thoughts, feelings, desires, also make a list, and let's say you feel anxious. Now, if you feel anxious, just take a break, try to remove the distraction, take a break, do some mindfulness, do some meditation, go on a walk, do some exercise, do something that is fun to you, and try to reduce your anxiety. That's it, it's common sense. Now, after you went through everything that I just told you, and you're able to write good grades at school, you're able to participate, make friends, have good conversations, school will end eventually. And then you need to know what to do after school, because the time after school will determine your success in life. This is where you can get ahead. Everyone else is playing video games, watching porn, drinking, having fun on the weekends. It's your time to get ahead. So the 5 core activities that you can do to get ahead. The first one is gaining knowledge, so like reading a book, watching videos like this, and educating yourself. That will make a huge difference in the time of like 10 years, and you will literally see the difference in like 5 years by giving time and letting the compound effect happen between you and your other classmates who are wasting the time. The second thing is learning a new skill. This can be a hobby, this can be like playing the guitar, trying out a new sport or whatever. Just try out a new hobby, expand your horizon. The third thing is exercise. Exercise is crucial for destroying your anxiety, obviously, because you release good hormones and you feel better, you build confidence, and you're doing something hard which is benefiting you in the long run. And on top of that, you feel better in your own skin. I used to be fat and ugly, I wasn't confident, I was anxious, I got bullied because of that. Went to the gym, built some muscle, feel more confident, was able to attract girls. The fourth thing is journaling. So basically just like writing down what you're grateful for and also writing down your experiences, like a diary. Just like, I won't get into too much detail here, just like write down what you're grateful for, write down your experiences, and just keep track. And when you have a problem, just like really journal about the problem and ask yourself why and why and why over and over again to find out the root cause of the problem. And another thing that you can do is to basically meditate. Just like meditation and mindfulness is amazing for your mind and also anxiety for your mental health, because then you learn to be mindful, which is basically staying in the present moment, and you basically destroy anxiety through that. Like, that is the best thing that you can do for your anxiety, is staying in the present moment, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past. Just look up on YouTube, meditation guide, and follow along. Just focus on your breath or do some kind of deep breathing. And now, another thing that I want to do is to look at your problems and think of solutions to the problems that you have. And then you prioritize the solutions to the problems based on pain. So let's say you have 5 things that you're struggling with right now. Chances are that anxiety is number 1. Then just look at the problem and find solutions to the problem. Exercise, meditation, journaling, sunlight, less overstimulation, and stuff like that. And then you rank each problem and each solution based on importance. So if anxiety is number 1 and you have to make a decision, focus on the solutions to your anxiety. Maybe after anxiety you have exercise. And then you can basically structure your day around that. You're like, okay, biggest problem is anxiety. Okay, that means today I will exercise, I will go on a walk, I will view some sunlight, I will eat clean, I will meditate. And then you destroy the problem, then you move to the next one. The next one is, okay, exercise. Okay, I will go to the gym, I will maybe start kickboxing, I will try to eat cleaner, and blah, 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 blah. And then the next one is like making friends. Okay, I will go to the city and attend a social event, I will try to speak to more people, and so on. You get the idea. Now, the next thing that I want to touch on is being overwhelmed by homework, which is a thing that a lot of people struggle with, right? Like, you probably get so much homework and you don't really know what to do, you're kind of overwhelmed. It's like a very easy fix that you can do. Just split it up and do it as early as possible. Don't wait for the deadline, do it as early as possible. You're an anxious person. Okay, do it as early as possible. If you're procrastinating, if you are scared of fear of failure, or perfectionism, rewatch the sections before this, right? Just if you're overwhelmed by homework, just do it as early as possible and split it up into small and manageable chunks. And another thing that you can do is, again, to use AI like ChatGPT to do the test for you. Now, you won't learn anything by that, but you can do it in a very short amount of time, and also make sure that you track your homework. Just like have like a little paper or like a document on your phone and write down what you have for homework. Put it inside of like a planner so you can track it and you're always up to date, to make sure that you don't go to school and you didn't do your homework and then you're feeling anxious and disappointed in yourself. Now, the next thing is the preparation for the day tomorrow, because now you basically have like the whole structure of morning to doing the homework, what you should do after school and stuff like that, but you also want to prepare yourself in the evening for tomorrow. Now, the easiest thing that you can do is just to pack your things and really check if you have everything for school that you have to do tomorrow. Also, make sure to look at your planner and look at the subjects and pack the books inside of your bag and everything that you need. If you're writing an exam, bring like an extra pen of paper, like a pen with you, or a piece of paper, or like a calculator if you're writing a maths exam, and also make sure that you did your homework. Now, the last thing that I do in my day, which absolutely destroyed my anxiety, was my bedtime routine. Okay? My bedtime routine is basically 3 different things. The first one is exercise. I do 30 minutes of exercise every single day. Now, you can basically do whatever you want here. Just exercise. Like, try to find out what works for you. Try different sports and really stick with one that you like. That can be running, swimming, kickboxing, some kind of other martial arts, going to the gym, whatever it might be. Just maybe riding the bike, or maybe just going on a walk. It's just clear your mind, empty your mind, try to be mindful, try to reduce the anxiety, release serotonin, do something that is good for yourself and build some confidence. Now, the next thing is mindfulness. I do deep breathing every single night, where I basically just lay down on my bed, I take deep breaths and I try to focus on my breath. And you can also do like some kind of meditation. The next thing is reading, right? Just fill your mind again with something that is not so heavy hitting. Like, I like to read a lot of spirituality and psychology and like heavy hitting books in the evening. When I want to go to bed, just like read some fiction. I'm not reading fiction, but I'm reading some lighter self-improvement books. And now it's also very important that you sleep 8 hours a day. Obviously, if you want to feel good, if you want to destroy anxiety, you have to function like a normal human being. That means sleeping 8 hours of the day, going to bed and waking up every single day at the same time, eating the right foods, exercising, moving your body, studying, gaining knowledge, because you want to expand as a human being, and hard work is the best way to quiet the mind, and it's your mission to evolve. That's basically how we as humanity went from beating each other up with like stones to having technology, and you can watch this video right now. It was just because we evolved, we had to strive to move forward, and I believe every single one of us has to strive, so use it. Like, find some interest, find some hobbies, do something with your life. And now, you have everything that you need, the complete step-by-step plan from morning to the night that you have to do to destroy your anxiety. And I don't want you to click off right now. I don't want you to just go on with your day. I actually want you to implement everything that I've said and start small. Start in the morning, try it out for a week, and then move to the next sections. And really think about what is like your biggest pain and solve that first. Please take action. And I really hope that this video was valuable. I really hope that you get some kind of insights out of this and that you feel less anxious, you can write better grades and start to make friends, maybe get a girlfriend, improve your looks, improve your knowledge and stuff like that, because this is exactly the thing that I was missing a few years ago. And I would have killed somebody for a video like this. So please take my words seriously, mark my words. And if you want to outcompete your students, if you want to do better than everyone around you, if you want to put your progress on the fast lane, talk to mind-minded individuals, talk to me directly, receive coaching from me, and like 7 different courses on how to dominate school, mindset, productivity, mental health, everything that you desire, while still talking to people that are just like me and you. Click on the first link in the description right now. Thanks for watching, and please take action.